Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so, Taurus, tonight we have that Devil card. Don't worry, it is very rarely a bad sign. In my estimation, getting the Devil card is actually one of the best. Same with the Fool, really. Because it kind of is that, it's like the current of change, right? It's that thing that comes in like a berserker, right? Just comes in and totally just demolishes the things that do not belong in our life, especially the things that we get so attached to, right? We hold on to them with this like idea that like I'm safe here. There's, if I hold on to this thing, if I keep doing this thing, if I stay in this job, in this relationship, in this house, this part of the world, whatever, I'm okay. And yet you're not. Right? And there needs to be some change. But how? Well, that Devil energy comes in there and it says, let's go. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to take a look and see what these tea leaves are going to tell us. And I wanted to say thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for spending this time with me. I know it's the most valuable thing that we have, right? Our time. So you deciding to spend some time with me is truly an honor. And if you want to subscribe, like, comment, I have to say it. Apparently the algorithm likes to hear those words. So I will just add that as well. But I would like to hear from you. And definitely if you want to subscribe, you are most welcome to join our little community here. All right. So we have, it looks like it says a 2 and an M. 2M. We have a person right here. Let me get my stick. We have a person right here. It looks like the head, the upper body, the arm, and the hand holding something together with what looks like a child. Here would be their head, their little dress or robe or whatever that is, and a foot. Okay? So I feel like, this makes sense to me because I was looking at this and I'm like, it kind of reminds me of a rocking horse, like those old school wooden, horses that people would play on, I guess, right? I think that's what they're for. But you don't see them as often now, right? This is something that more often than not you're going to see in like a antique store or somebody's house as like a display thing. But it really does kind of bring up this feeling of a more innocent time, right? If that was real or if we just perceive it to be, who knows, right? But I do feel like this really is calling back into your childhood, pulling you back into this kind of nostalgic place. And that's what I imagine. It feels kind of like a nostalgic, a remembering, not so much the lamenting, that can happen when we kind of start to think about our childhood and all the old things and missing the people that we used to have in our life and how things maybe once were. But I think in this moment for you, it really is about maybe mom, grandma. It has a very kind of feminine energy here, but just this feeling of being safe, right? Knowing that you're going to be taken care of, knowing that somebody is watching out for you. Somebody, if you don't know, they do, right? Like, I'm going to go ask my mom. I'm going to go ask grandma. They know. So I feel like there's a lot of tenderness. I feel like, you know, even if you did have a troubled childhood, which, let's face it, a lot of us did, right? A lot of us did, and even if it wasn't super remarkably bad, we've all had our moments, you know. We all go through stuff when we're young. And so I feel like, you know, maybe it wasn't like anything to, like, you know, write a book about, but I do feel like there's a lot of love, especially with this connection. A lot of kind of, you know, like you're holding your first grandkid and it's like it activates that part of yourself. You remember what your grandma was like with you. You remember what your mom was like with you. And now you kind of stepping into those same shoes. What a beautiful and emotional kind of, well, it is a rite of passage. So I feel like you're getting in this place in your life where you are starting to see so much of these feminine archetypes of your life, these role models, these caretakers, these friends, these beautiful, beautiful beings. And now you stepping into these roles. Now, you might be thinking, Lenor, I'm not a woman. Right? You might not be. But listen, we all have pieces of our fathers, our grandfathers, our caretakers, our, you know, the person down the street that used to babysit, you know, whatever. We all have, we're like composite beings, right? And so I feel like for you, you were really influenced by this feminine energy in your life. And you know, maybe it's the holidays this time of year. You might be a little bit more nostalgic than usual, but I feel that as being really something to lean towards, right? When we find something in our life, or it kind of just presents itself, and it's something that brings ease to our days, I say lean into it, right? As long as it's not something that is going to end up, you know, making you self-destruct, of course. But things like, yeah, sitting back, drinking some tea, looking at the, you know, the decorations and thinking about those times, those laughs, the, you know, standing in the kitchen, talking and making food, and, you know, everybody's laughing and fighting and, you know. So I feel like this is a beautiful, beautiful energy for you, okay? Now, we also have, it looks like we have the giraffe. We have two of these kind of, I almost feel like it's an eye. They're two eyes. But I do feel there's this kind of almost sensation of somebody really being focused on what you're doing. And I feel like this is somebody who you have had some problems with, because the giraffe in my mind here, now not always, the giraffe has different symbolic meanings, but in this situation especially, it feels to me like it's kind of this, you have to decide to be the bigger person. Like you have to decide to go the high road. Because whoever this person is, they have a lot of time on their hands. They have a lot of time to be like digging through your social media and talking to this person and talking to that person. And, you know, basically like, are you the FBI dude? Like, what are you doing? You know, this is a person that is fixated. I think that's what, like, maybe not obsessed, but there's a fixation there. And I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel healthy. It's not like some person that, you know, has a crush on you, or, you know, somebody that you met at some event and they're interested in being your friend, and they're just kind of looking in and seeing like what's going on with you, you know, what are you into, whatever. No, this is like they're taking notes, right? And so I feel like this is maybe really a good time to get into your different stuff, especially on the internet, but also around the house. Making sure like your passwords are protected, making sure you change those once in a while, making sure that, you know, your like privacy settings and everything are good, you know, all of this kind of stuff. I know it sucks. It's a lot of tedium. Who wants to think about this? But the reality is we have to all be careful. Okay. And, you know, I don't talk about it all the time, but I do talk about it whenever this kind of thing comes up. Just making sure that like you're checking in with your support people. You're letting them know, hey, this person, they're lingering on the outskirts of my life. They are taking a little bit too much interest in me. You know, I mean, this could be a stranger. It could be somebody you work with. Heck, it could be like your sister-in-law. You know what I mean? But we all need to be careful. Okay? So, let's see. We also have, it looks like 2 birds right here. One is perched and it looks like a raptor or like a predatory bird, like a hawk or an eagle or, you know, falcon. Probably more like a hawk here. Up here we have, it almost looks like 2 birds fighting. So I feel like there is kind of this, yeah, maybe a debate or some kind of rhetoric. You're just like going back and forth. And I do believe it's through communication because this person is intelligent. They're not like just some, you know, ho-hum person, you know, that like whatever, they're just being weird. No, this is an intelligent person. They're very thoughtful. They're, you know, precise in their movements. They're not very stealth though, because you know that they're lingering. They're in your orbit. But I do see you getting to a place of kind of like exchanging words here. And I think ultimately this is going to be where that devil energy really kind of comes in. And what that is about in my mind anyways, is you really setting some boundaries. Like not just trying to like, you know, I don't think that you're like somebody who's always pacifying people. But I think for the most part, it's like, I'm not interested in engaging this, whatever. You know, if you want to feel how you feel, go ahead, be my guest, you know, but I'm not getting involved. This, however, I feel like could escalate. I feel like this is something that's a little more serious. And I don't know what it is they're out for, but they're very, motivated. Very motivated in their weirdness. I don't know. But let's go ahead. We're going to keep going. I want to see, what else do we have? It looks like we have 2 dogs kind of meeting nose to nose right here. We have a little heart. We have some trees down here. They look like evergreen trees. We have, it looks like maybe a deer. And we have the number 32. Okay, so 32. So yes, we have the 2 dogs coming together. And so I do see you kind of like really kind of spending more time with your good friend. Somebody that you're very close with. It does feel like there is maybe a love connection, but I don't know that this is your primary relationship. I feel like this is like one of those friendships that it's just at the door, you know what I mean? But not necessarily ever going to be activated. I feel like you get a lot of energy out of this relationship, this friendship, but I don't know that like in a practical way that it is the right kind of relationship for you. And I think you're fully aware of that. Like you already know. And that's why you're not together, right? But you are good friends. Okay, so I see you kind of leaning on this connection to kind of, you know, I don't know, like get back into a place where you're feeling pretty like balanced and, you know, not like, not just worrying about this other drama, right? Now, I do see in this next few weeks, there being a moment where it almost feels like it almost feels like an opportunity to, and I'm looking at this star here, like an opportunity to kind of realize one of your, maybe not big dreams, but like a more minor dream. Something that maybe you haven't even thought about too much, but like it's always been something you've wanted to do. And so I see there being this opportunity coming up, and I see you immediately thinking, no, I don't have time for that, or no, I don't have the money for that, or whatever. But I think that if you do say yes, it's going to work out so that it all happens, right? Things will align for you. So it's like if your friends are like, hey, let's go, take a road trip to the ocean or whatever. I don't know how I'm going to make that work. I don't know if I have the money for the gas or, whatever. But yeah, let's see what we can do, and you'll figure it out. It will all come together. So I do feel really like this is a time where standing up for yourself, that's a big deal. That's a big one. But also allowing yourself to get out of this kind of limited thinking, right? And now I'm not saying like do something super wild, like you have, 3 little kids at home and you're married, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm moving to Bali, and you like pack your bags and don't tell anybody like that. I'm not advocating for that. Although, but yeah, I mean, really, just like something that is reasonable, right? And allowing yourself to just see what happens. I know, taking a risk like that, I don't know. Even I'm like getting anxiety thinking about it. I'm like, hey, I always think about this. I live out in the middle of nowhere, right? And so to get to the city is a little bit of a drive. And to go to the city and do something is like that's like the whole day. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to go, see a show or something. So whenever there's like a band or whatever that comes through, and I really want to see them, but I have a lot going on. I just really don't have the time. And I have these little fantasies. Like, what if I just say, I'm not doing my chores today. I'm just going to get ready and go to this show, and one day I will. One day I will. But it's stuff like that where once in a while we just need to break our schedule. We need to break our routine. We need to be brave. We need to take that initiative to do the different thing, right? And I think that sometimes, now not every time, sometimes it's pretty unremarkable, right? But sometimes it's like opening the window, right? To something magnificent, something magical, something special. And I do see through you allowing yourself to do this thing, whatever it is, there will be a moment where you get the confirmation that you've been looking for. Now, I don't know what that confirmation is or what it is exactly that you're looking for, but there will be a very clear answer there, okay? So be brave, do the thing, go on the trip, go on I don't know, what do people do? Bar crawls, that's what they do here. I live in a part of the country where a lot of people do that. I don't, but a lot of people do. So, whatever it is, do the thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. We're going to do our lucky numbers. 49, 45, 81. All right. 49, 45, 81. I almost forgot the last one. All right. So we also have our Wild Offering Oracle cards. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says championships. When you fully bless and embrace your aloneness, you're ready for the ones who are meant to be with you. May I welcome this solitude, knowing it will open the way for all healthy relationships. All right. I do. I always advocate for people to be alone for a few years in your adulthood at least. I know it's not easy. I know it can be really miserable. It can be very lonely. But I think it's necessary, man. I mean, people just don't know how to be by themselves. A lot of people don't. And when you figure that out, life really opens up for you. I mean, it really does. I remember being young and thinking it was embarrassing to go eat at a restaurant by yourself. You know? Like now, that sounds like paradise. Maybe not all the time, right? But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would love that. Once in a while, right? But yes, learning to really not, it's okay to be lonely. Sometimes we need to be lonely. And sometimes we need to learn that being alone or being lonely is not the worst thing that could happen. It absolutely is not. So, yeah, I do. I always tell people, please. That's like one of my graduation things I put in, the little books they have at their graduation parties. Like, travel widely. Fall in love often. Do as much love as you can, muster. Fall in love often. And figure out how to be alone. Be courageous. But be careful as well. All right. Taurus, I want to tell you I love you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to spend this time with you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps the channel immensely. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. And if you would like to leave a comment, absolutely do that. I read them all. They mean the world to me. And yeah. All right. I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk again real soon. Good night.